Want to do this again, Mayor? That's the first question.
You know, Mike, I put my reason for seeking re-election on my website. I gave a very factual presentation concerning why I'm re-entering public service. So you're asking me to reiterate that, but I've got it on my website. And it's more in-depth. If you look at my website, I clearly delineate my reason for re-entering public service. Well, let me just try to see if I can summarize that for you today. Mike, for whatever reason, my calling is public service. That's what I've done in the city of Memphis for over 40 years in the public education arena, and then I served this city as mayor for 17 years. I've been out of public service for almost a decade. And during that absence, I saw a deterioration of some of the meaningful fabric of a city that I love, okay? As you well know, Mr. Herenton succeeded me. And I've been on record as saying I think he was a dismal failure. I think he was a terrible mayor. And then Strickland came in, and it was predictable. And I said to you all in the newspapers, a dead man could have beaten Herenton. He was just a horrible mayor. So Strickland was elected without a mandate from the people. He has no base. It's just Herenton was just that miserable as a mayor. So Strickland was elected as mayor. And by the way, I think Jim is a very nice person. I have nothing against him personally. And I know someone charged him with harboring racial feelings. I have never seen that in Jim Strickland. I think he's an honorable young man. I think he's trying to do the best he can to manage a city. I just think that this task is way over Jim's head. He cannot address the human needs of this city, and he's very weak on crime. He's weak on crime. I don't want to speak disparagingly of the young man who is his present director. I've stated it very clearly. I respect this young man. In fact, we brought him into the command staff when I was mayor. Would he be my director? No. When I go back, I'm bringing Blue Crush back. I'm bringing Blue Crush back with its full impact. I'm bringing community policing back. I'm talking about we had great community police relations. I don't know what happened to all of that. And then, Mike, you know, I live in Memphis. I travel the streets of Memphis. It became very disturbing to me to see all of these iron plates in the streets, all of these potholes. Now, I've been gone a decade. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to the infrastructure of my city. So I care about it. I care about this escalating crime problem. I care about the deterioration of the infrastructure. And I think these problems are way over Jim's head. Then I hear Jim talking about building up and not out, okay? It appears to me that this administration is elitist. It caters to the elitist structure of Memphis, and they have abandoned the needs of real people. Real people. We need to focus on rebuilding communities. We need to focus on empowering small and minority black businesses in Memphis in a real way, okay? I just do not believe that Jim represents the best that we can offer in leadership. I think his intentions are good. I think he represents that elite structure, power structure of Memphis, and he's working on behalf of developers, not for the rank and file people. And the working class. Mike, I came up out of the working class. I'm pro-union. That's why you see all of the unions endorsing me, because I'm for the working class. And I just really believe that this city is, they talk about momentum. The question is momentum for whom? Who's benefited from it? The people that I see in the rank and file citizens of Memphis who are trying to make the ends meet, they don't feel this momentum. Only the rich and the powerful feel what the mayor is sensing as momentum.
You know what he has been saying, Mayor. He has been saying, in fact, shows figures and statistics that things have gotten Yeah, we still have bad poverty, but the
course we
poverty
do,
level
yeah.
is dropping. He said unemployment has been dropping under his administration, that he's got more minority business owners involved. So it does, you know.
Let me just say this, Mike. If you notice, our administration, we've not come out to counter any of the false data. For example, this so-called crime commission. All of this data that's coming from the crime commission, it ought to be a law against all of this representation that's false in terms of where we are with crime in this community. All of this is orchestrated. If you look at all of these announcements, Union Row, all of these announcements that the mayor's been rolling off about all of this significant capital investment, show me the money. None of that is coming to reality. It's very interesting that all of these announcements are coming up during the election year. So I think what the mayor's doing, he's using a Madison Avenue advertising approach and really not focusing on core challenges and problems that face average Memphians.
You know,
Let me tell you another one. The Tom Lee Park. I had to weigh in on this. Mike, I used to live in the Rivermont there. I used to walk this area mornings and the afternoon. I'm for maintaining the parks, okay, doing some cosmetics, but investing $60 and $70 million in a park when we have all of these human needs in Memphis is utterly ridiculous.
You have said, Mayor, all along in this race that as far as you're concerned, this is
Yeah.
a two-person race.
Yeah,
The other candidate is,
Oh yeah, let me tell you, I've noticed the media, and you know I'm writing this book, Mike. I'm writing this book. One of the large sections on it deals with media bias, media promotion of political candidates that the media likes, okay? Now, and we're gonna talk about the debate for a minute too. I hope you'll ask me a question about why I'm not debating, okay? So I'm an expert on the media. You know why? Because over my 30 years of being the target of media, I ought to be an expert on the media, okay? Because you guys have been an expert on me. But if you look at even some of the personalities that you and I know, I think it is unprofessional for an individual who's a part of the media establishment to take your media job and to promote a candidate. I will defend the right of the public to know. That's why, Mike, you followed me. I've always been accessible to the media. I've been the only elected official that invited you into City Hall. Remember, I had a round table. I said, you guys, I'm open season. Come in, ask me anything you want to ask me. I've done it in City Hall. I said, whatever you want to ask me, come and ask me. I've never had an interview with you where I said, what are you going to ask me? I've always been accessible to you guys. Now, is it wrong for me to expect personalities from the media to be professionals, to not bring your bias with me? Otis Sanford, if I watch him on the show, he is on Strickland's staff. He's on the staff. That is incorrect for a person to be in the media.
talk to me a bit about the debates, if you would, Mayor.
Okay, let me speak to the debate. And you know, I'm not a perfect person. I have my flaws, and I have my. Some people think I'm arrogant. I have an ego. I don't think I'm arrogant, and I might have a sense of pride. I might have some convictions, some principles of what I stand on. Let me tell you about the media. I found it quite audacious that I saw in the news that there's going to, I think it's WMCT, the Commercial Appeal, the NAACP. I saw where there was going to be a debate September the 19th. I said, that is very interesting. A mayoral debate. I said, that's very interesting. Well, I didn't know there was going to be a debate, and I think I am a major contender for the mayor's office, and I know that there is not going to be a debate. You know why there's not going to be a debate? Because Willie Herenton is not going to participate. And let me tell you why I'm not going to participate. I've been in public service for 18 years, close to 18 years as mayor. The citizens of Memphis know my values. They know my management style. They know my accomplishments. So we have as our campaign strategy, and we have a right to have our own campaign strategy. our campaign strategy does not include a public debate. We made a conscious decision that we will not be on a platform debating any of the contenders for the mayorship. We don't need to, okay? We're taking this campaign to the people. Mike, you've been here twice. I had a Men's Day rally. We had over 400 men in this facility here. A week ago, we had a little over 1,000 women who came here. We're going in the neighborhoods. We're taking a campaign to the people. I don't need to do this through the media. I don't need to do this for public debate. I'm not an entertainer. I don't need to entertain the media or the Memphis public. What I need to do is to get my platform out there. It's on the website. If people call me, they want me to speak to community groups, I'm going to speak to a community. I got a big community meeting coming up, I think in a couple of weeks over on Harbor Island with people in that part of town. I'm willing to come to community groups to speak. I don't need a public forum debating. And why should I give some neophytes, some novice, some rookies an opportunity to take shots at me? Why? I don't need to do that.
I remember back in '99, I think, when you came out. I think I was at that debate when you came out and said, looked at me and he said, never again.
I will never do this again. I'll never do a debate, and then it's not a part of my campaign strategy. I have a right to deny media requests for me to do a debate. And let me tell you the other thing. There are some people in the media world that I was never going to give them the opportunity to put me behind a mic and ask me some damn questions. So I know I've disturbed their expectation. There will be no debate.
You remember the article that was done back from the Commercial Appeal that pretty much, according to this article, traced the Memphis pension problems, the city pension problems,
Yes, sir.
to you, and said it started under the Herenton.
Oh, let me just say this. If you look all across America, not just Memphis, look especially in California, in Illinois, and urban cities, we all have pension challenges, okay? There are a lot of public employee pension programs that are underfunded. This is a national issue. It's not one that's local to Memphis. And some economists have predicted that that's the next economic bubble that's going to burst in the American economic scene. So this is not a local issue, okay? Underfunded pensions, okay? So with me, let me just say this for the record. I never received a letter from the Tennessee comptroller during my tenure indicating that we had an unfunded pension situation. Never in my 17 years. But the subsequent administration did. So if they want to say, well, it's true, but it is factual, nobody advised me I had a pension challenge. They advised the subsequent administration. So for the Herenton legacy, the pension portfolio was always respectably funded.
And you want to, I know the one thing you were always in favor of, I guess, come contract time, those guys knew where they stood with you.
Yeah.
You think that's the reason why they're standing behind you this time around too?
Well, let me tell you why the public employee unions are supportive of me. Mike, I believe, and I stand to be corrected, for 13 consecutive years, we gave city employees raises anywhere from 3 to 5%, okay? We took care of public employees, especially those first responders, okay? We made sure they had the best of equipment. We never took pension benefits from employees. We never promised benefits that we did not provide. After I left, the public employees, the retirees, they received some severe economic blows. So they remember how good they fared in the Herenton era, and they also remember how they have fared since my departure.
How do you feel about how education has evolved? Because it was, you know.
Okay, let me speak to that too, Mike. If you will remember, Mike, you covered me. In 2008, I recommended to the city council that they not disinvest in education. The city council, I said to them, are you sure that you do not fall under the maintenance of effort. I remember, what's a kid, not a kid, a young man, Shay Flynn and several, I had a meeting with them. They overruled me. They voted to deprive the city schools of funding, if you will recall, okay? They also lowered the tax rate by 14 cents. No municipality in America lowered a tax rate, to my knowledge. If anything, you should have maintained. I think there was a year I asked for a 50 cents tax increase, which was bold and courageous on my part. I said, I'll take the hit, but I will guarantee you if you give me this tax rate increase, we'll provide services for schools, for police, fire, and we'll have strong infrastructure, and we can address the pension issue if there's any looming, okay? What did they do? They lowered the tax rate, they reduced funding for city schools, and they lost in a lawsuit, if you will remember, 2008.
Do you think that the city schools, was it a mistake to give up the charter?
Of course I think it was a mistake. Yes, of course I do.
Bottom line is this, on election night, what do you think?
Well, let me explain something to you, Mike. We're going to win this in early voting. This upcoming election will be very close to 1991. It will not equal the movement we had in 1991, but you're going to see a much larger voter turnout, especially in the black community. You're also going to see more white citizens vote for Herenton over Strickland than you can imagine. And let me tell you why about that. Because I'm meeting people. I'm all over the city of Memphis, okay? Now, you know, it's in the DNA of my city, historically. We have racial polarization in Memphis. We might as well admit that. We have class stratification in Memphis. We might as well admit that. It's in the DNA of Memphis. We all need to work together to make Memphis a better city for everybody. We're still striving for that. I didn't create those divisions. They have been there. Let me tell you what I'm sensing now. There are a lot of white citizens who talk to me, and they're Republican. I went to the Republican Lincoln dinner the other night. There are a lot of Republicans there. You know why I went? Because I was invited. There are a number of white Republicans that are not going to support Strickland. They're going to support me. Let me tell you why. Ideologically, we may have different ideologies about government, but they admire the strength of my leadership. They admired my stance on the statutes. I made it very clear. During my administration, I was not going to remove statutes. If you will remember, Jesse Jackson, what's the other guy, Al Sharpton, Jesse didn't come, Sharpton. They had rallies in the parks. When the Bailey, Commissioner Bailey called for a rally, I told the world, I am not going to remove history. There are a lot of dark spots in American history. I didn't write it. I'm reminded of history. When I passed down and saw Nathan Bedford's statue, it motivated me. It motivated me to remember a dark spot in a history. And I said, as long as I'm mayor, I'm not removing statues, I'm not digging up graves. Okay? Now, that's my position. So a white mayor who comes behind me, he acquiesced to the pressures of certain particular groups, okay? And they removed it. Because racial polarization is in the DNA of Memphis, a lot of white citizens look at me and they say, well, you know what, Herenton wasn't a bad guy after all. At least he would not have removed the statues. Then, if I had decided to remove those statues, Mike, I would have removed them in 12 noon. I would not have removed them the way Strickland did, like a thief in the night. That's how he removed them. And there are a lot of white people who resent that. And they're going to show that resentment at the polls and vote for Willie Herenton, okay? Let me give you another instance, okay? All of the pandering that the mayor is doing with black churches and showing up in community centers. He's trying to demonstrate to the black community he's blacker than me. There are a lot of white people who see this. They resent it. I resent it. He ought to be the mayor for all the citizens of Memphis.
And you will be the mayor.
and I will be.